The piece I chose for my visual analysis is the Comtesse de la Châtre by Elisabeth Vigée-Lebrun. I'm going to do my visual analysis in 4 different sections. The first is scale, composition, and pictorial space. The second, I will talk about form and light. In the third, I will talk about color and tone. And in the fourth, texture and pattern. The first section, again, is scale, composition, and pictorial space. The scale of this painting is quite medium-sized. It's 45 inches by 34.5 inches. The composition of this piece is quite simple. You have the Countess sitting in the center, taking up most of the frame. Her dress to her head is a pyramid shape, which gives a sense of stability. The chair that she's sitting on looks quite soft. It's quite round in shape, and it gives a sense of comfort. In the pictorial space, Lebrun uses a gray flat background because it makes it very hard for us to gauge how far that wall is from the Countess herself. She also cuts off the chair at the bottom and half of the chair to the side, so we can tell that this painting was done quite closely to the Countess. It makes it seem very, very personal. The second section, as I said before, I will talk about form and light. For form, Lebrun paints the Countess in this comfortable, relaxed way. She loosely holds this book in her hand. She is kind of like leaned forward. She's not sitting straight up very properly. You can tell kind of from the folds of her dress that her legs are not fully crossed. They might be crossed at the ankles. So she's not sitting very properly. She's not very stiff. She's very relaxed on this couch. The lighting in this piece isn't very dramatic. Most of the light seems to be focused on the Countess herself, which, considering that the Countess is wearing a white dress, it gives her almost this glowing effect. It makes her look more innocent, makes her look more pure, and almost airy. Lebrun uses mostly dark tones for the background elements, which, again, in contrast to the muslin dress, it really brings your attention to the Countess. So if you were to just simply walk past this piece, you would notice the Countess and you wouldn't really notice much else. She also brings attention to the fact that the Countess is holding a book by making this book a bright red, which is a contrast to the dark green couch that it's laid on top of. The tone in this piece, again, it's mostly dark earthy tones for the back and bright colors for the Countess. And this is our final section, and we will talk about texture and pattern. So the textures mostly are in the 2 main elements of this painting. The dress itself has multiple different textures. You can look at the lace and you can tell that the lace is quite rough, that there's a lot of little detail into it, that it is in fact lacy. The ribbons that are trimming the dress and the hat and on top of the hat almost seem satin-like. You can tell they're kind of stiff, they hold their shape, but they do look like they would be soft to the touch, and they have a kind of sheen to them that makes them seem satiny. The dress, you can tell that there's layers to this dress. You can tell that there's this muslin beneath, and if you look closely at the Countess's hips, there's like this organza-type material. It's kind of soft, a little bit see-through. The couch, which is the second part of this painting, looks soft. It's velveteen. You feel like if you were to touch that specific couch, it would be very soft. She's very careful in her texturing, especially where the light is hitting it, especially near the Countess's hands. It really, again, draws attention to the fact that the Countess is reading a book. She doesn't use a lot of patterns in this piece, specifically, but there's a lot of small details in the line work, in the gold trim on the couch, on the gold trim on the cushions of the couch itself, again, the lace, and there seems to be a slight pattern in that sheer overlining of the dress.